I'm Jess Van Ostrand, Director of Exhibitions and Public Programs at LMCC, and I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough of Daniel Shieh's exhibition, Where Time Runs Backwards. So Daniel is an artist that we started working with over a year ago. He was actually an artist in residence first, and we often like to work with artists who've been part of our residency programs as a way for us to get to know each other and also for them to get to know the space. This is a space where artists are making mostly new work in response to the room itself and its particulars. So in this case, Daniel was exploring ideas related to his own personal journey immigrating to the United States, along with questions of national identity, questions around what it means to be American, patriotism, frontierism, and other things that Daniel researches and explores in his work. He also invited two other artists to join him, Arlene Correa Valencia, who is a textile artist, and Xiaolun Chang, who is a poet. And they both contributed works to the show that have a similar story and message as Daniel's work. So this work here is called Power Play, and Daniel built this as a way to ask questions in a playful way about power dynamics. So the way he described it to us is that he was hoping that children and their parents might enjoy experiencing this piece together. And so one person stands on the lower end, another stands on the upper end, and it provides a periscope effect for the two people who are looking at each other. This piece over here looks like a replica of a military bunker. And Daniel was intending to create something that harked back to his childhood memories of these military bunkers that had been throughout Taiwan in his childhood, but that were no longer in use. So they were meant to offer emergency protection if there had been an attack, but most of them have remained in place and are not being used one way or the other. And Daniel thought it would be interesting to recreate one, but with more of a, or less of a threatening environment. And this is his thought of what they were like to him as children. He cut out a window, so it could almost be that you are playing inside somewhere, looking out a window at the sun shining through. So it's more of an inviting and positive connotation. Because this is his memory as a child, not understanding the threat of war and things like that. This piece here is called Mother's Anthem. These are radios, 16 radios. Wait, now I just said
30.
30 radios. Excuse me. They're each playing a different version of the national anthem in a different language. So 30 different languages of different translations. However, Daniel has assembled them in such a way that they look like and sound like a chorus. As Daniel researched this piece, he learned that the recording of a particular translation would often follow immigration patterns to the U.S. And in some ways, the U.S. recorded it for political motives, and in other ways, it was meant to be offered to people who had newly arrived. Very small photo here in this windowsill, not to be overlooked. This is called Home Flag. And this is a simple snapshot that Daniel took of a spot in his parents' home. where you can see an American flag hanging rather casually on a towel rack with some other items in their house. And so for him, this is a really interesting symbol of his parents' ideas and their aspirations having gone to the US to study, but that also it's kind of just become a knickknack in their home. But it still is raised high above, which he calls giving it an air of veneration. And it's placed in a particular spot because outside of our window here, you can see an American flag directly across. So Daniel's interest in American exploration and the idea of frontierism comes across in this work. This is a piece based on the NASA project that started in the early 1970s, where sounds of humanity were recorded and put on what was called a golden record and put on a space shuttle. This project has had a few iterations for NASA, and the idea is here you can actually listen to some of the things that were included on the recording. There are readings in other languages, there are wildlife sounds, and things like that. The record itself is levitating, and it's sort of sitting here amongst this moonscape of sorts that Daniel created using salvaged material from Governor's Island. So overall, I think Daniel has done a really beautiful job of thinking about the architecture of the room, incorporating some elements from Governor's Island, where we are positioned, and telling a really personal story that's relatable to a lot of people.